33 human souls trapped in complete darkness and stifling stale air. Around them, the creaking and groaning of the uncountable tons of rock that is both their prison and their protection. Their only hope of escape is the roaring, grinding sound that day by day grows louder, ever louder. This situation gave me the light, because far worse than being a terrible human being, I am a scientist. And the arrogance of the intellect is the arrogance of Lucifer himself. Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome to another episode of Betty Adams Overanalyzes. I promise, on my honor, we are going to do a fully spoiler review of Kaiju number 8, chapter 107. So, in order to give you a chance to click away, I am going to tell you to go check out the links below the video to get yourself a copy of Flying Sparks or Dying Embers, books that explore what happens when the desire to know, to learn, to understand the universe become a driving force that overwhelms, when the virtue of curiosity utterly overwhelms the virtues of wisdom and compassion. Now, the spoilers. Kaiju represent the greatest fears that are facing a civilization. Always have, always will. When Godzilla first lumbered his way out of the Pacific Ocean, he represented the dangers of above-ground nuclear testing and the damage it did to the environment and people's lives. It has become clear over the series that the Kaiju in Kaiju number 8, instead of representing one big thing, represent the 1,001 natural disasters that any nation on the Pacific Ring of Fire faces. Earthquakes, storms, volcanic eruptions, and now we have the big reveal, foreshadowed as far back as chapter 17-ish, when Kaiju number 9 sighed about the fungal reproductive organs being destroyed, and then mused that he might as well take Reno back as a living sample. This is the great cultural fear that Kaiju number 9 represents. Cold, calculated curiosity backed by scientific industry. Not much of a villain, you think? Maybe. Let me tell you a little story, that story that I started with. Over a decade ago now, a mine entrance in Chile collapsed. It was a copper mine, very critical to the industry, but nearly 36 men were trapped below ground. At first, we didn't know if they were alive or dead, but communications got through and we found out they were all alive. Unhurt, but sealed under tons of rocks. It was an amazing story. The world came together in a rare moment of unity and threw its resources at rescuing those men. The most advanced drills in the world. Three completely separate drilling systems were sent down to burrow an escape route out. One of them was very slow, but was 100% sure to get the job done. Two of them were in a neck-and-neck race to see who could get there first. These were advanced experimental systems. And the world rejoiced when communication was established, and it was discovered that there were so many alive, so many safe. The first small drill penetrated the caverns where there was sheltering, and food and water was sent down. And NASA, the experts in psychology and mental health of small groups of humans trapped in confined spaces for long times, sent down, what do you think? What do you think NASA sent down there? Water filtration systems? Super compressed food? No, they sent down games, puzzles, fun little things to test the minds and spirits of the men who were under such unthinkable strain. A thought occurred to me when I heard this over the radio. At the time, I was working in a greenhouse in the national park on the other side of the world. Lots of work for my hands to do, not much for my brain. And a happy thought, a delighted thought occurred to me, that this would be a wonderful, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to gather information on how humans, we hairless apes and fallen angels, act under severe mental strain. There would never be a better chance to gather this information, because there's no ethical way to put humans in a real-life threatening situation where they knew that they were a single moment from death at every heartbeat. This was great! And then I remember that these were people, men with mothers, children, wives, frantically waiting for them to get out of that living grave. And I felt horrible. I ducked my head back over my work, planting plants, Regardless, the situation would continue as it was. The data would be gathered, but I shouldn't feel happy that the suffering of these fellow humans was resulting in that. Then, suddenly, with an uneasy laugh, one of my coworkers confessed that she too had had that dastardly thought. What a benefit this tragedy will be. We will find out what we want to know, but couldn't ethically investigate. I gave an equally uneasy laugh and admitted that I too had thought the unthinkable. Uneasy looks were generally passed around our workspace. We had all had that thought. 33 human souls trapped in suffering, and we simply wanted to know what was going on. Kaiju number 9 wants to know. That is what's driving him, not some sense of justice that demands that he act for the good of his fellow kaiju, not some desire for power or vengeance or food or even wealth. He just wants to know. The virtue of intellectual curiosity, utterly unhampered by compassion, justice, restraint. There is no virtue so good that it will not become a vice when left unchecked. Mother love becomes devouring possession. Friendship becomes casual discard for anyone outside your friend group. Childlike curiosity becomes this. Viewing human beings as objects to fuel your research, valuable only in how you can bend them to your use. For the majority of the 19th and 20th centuries, the developing world worshipped at the altar of science and technology, bettering living through chemistry, airplanes that could whisk you away to a hospital in minutes, instant communication. Then, slowly, bit by bit, the glamour peeled away. Yes, famine, once so universal a human experience, became an anomaly instead of the norm. This is unquestionably a benefit. Yes, children would live and thrive, even the poorest of children who would have never been able to 100 years before. Unquestionably a benefit. Yes, so much good was done by science, but it was under the fetters of conscious restraint. But once you take those restraints off, once you give a curious scientist resource and funds and no oversight, well, there's a reason, a very good reason, that the dangers of that are so fresh in the Japanese psyche. If you don't feel like sleeping for a few weeks, go Google Unit 731. If you want something slightly less traumatic and the manga Pumpkin Scissors was very clearly based on Unit 731. To give you an idea, if you want to scar the manga can give you an idea on what was going on if you don't want to scar your psyche too badly. Unfettered curiosity has probably led to more cruelty, more horror than all the gluttony of every tyrant lord or lady who ever lived. A gluttonous tyrant can be satisfied at the end of the day and will leave you alone, at least when they're sleeping off their last kegger. Curiosity never sleeps. I want to know. I want to know. I want to know. So I'll take everything. Kaiju number 9 represents the darkness that haunts every human heart and mind and manifests in well-lit clinical laboratories. The horror of cruelty done without malice, of suffering inflicted without hate, of curiosity without compassion. The anime Frieren is also exploring this. It is a very hefty topic for an entertainment series to explore, and Frieren and Kaiju number 8 are doing it very good. Okay, on a lighter note. On top of that, we've got some other things to cover. We finally had it confirmed that it is in fact the energies released deep in the tectonic rifts that cause the development of Kaiju from normal forms of Earth life. They are not extra-dimensional aliens, as we may have spectated. They are just mutated Earth creatures. So, that's cool. And there was this little moment, just one small panel, when Kaiju number 8 lets rock that modified punch, you see that it is the new Director General Baldi, he just has this look of shock on his face, which makes sense because he is the only one in that room who was a close friend of Iso Shinomiya, who trained with him in his youth. And so he would have been, it makes sense that he was the one to instantly notice the change that Kafka had brought to the fighting style and applied to Kaiju number 9. But what do you think, my wonderful viewers? Is Kaiju number 9 Matsumoto's way of forcing the modern audience to grapple with the darkness of the human soul as manifested by the Luciferian intellect? Or am I just reading too much into this? Am I overanalyzing it? Leave me a comment below telling me what you think. Hit that like and subscribe button, and peace out, my wonderful viewers.
Drake McCarty's leg was shattered, deep in the wilderness. As the flash flood closed over him, something alien pulled him from the waters. A military base that shouldn't exist. An ancient warrior with secrets of his own. Drake returns to his family with a whole leg and the burden of a secret he doesn't understand. In the forest around them, someone is watching, and something followed him home. Flying Sparks. 90,000 words of science fantasy adventure. The first novel in the Dying Embers universe is now available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo by Rakuten, Google Play Books, and from the author as a signed copy. Get your copy now and step into a world where dragons walk the forest, aliens lurk on the mountain, and things go boomp in the night.
Escape into another world with the writings of author Betty Adams. Two worlds, one of utter absurdity, one of dramatic tension, both alike in aliens absolutely astounded by human behavior. Humans are weird, short, absurd science fiction stories. Flying sparks, dragons, aliens, and things that go boomp in the night.
Books available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo by Rakuten, Google Play Books, and at authorbettyadams.com for a signed copy.